Hey Justin, welcome back and Happy New Year to you, 2025.
Happy New Year. Yes, it's going to be a fantastic year. Been looking forward to it, and lots of things happening this year. Life changing for me, but all great things, and really looking forward to it.
I have all the best wishes to you, and I'm sure you're going to find a new way of living life in this 2025.
Absolutely. Happy New Year to everyone, and let's take it on. Let's get it going.
Exactly. I mean, today's topic is very interesting, and I think everybody has felt in their life one way or other because of the way we are. So let me tell you the topic. Today's topic is imposter syndrome in project management. And the idea is to overcome the hidden challenges. Yes, we have, but what can we do to outcome or maybe you see this as positively?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is definitely an interesting topic. I think if we're being truly honest, I think everyone has probably felt these symptoms in their life, probably professionally and personally, in many different ways. And the real key is being able to make sure you train your mind in the right way and harness that to use it in a positive way instead of letting it take you down a path that can be self-destructive. I think. As many philosophers have always said, the most powerful weapon is what's between your two ears, and I believe in that. And we have a choice every day if we get up and want to choose to be miserable, or we can choose to be, find ways of being grateful and ways of being positive in our lives. And I think that is definitely something that we all have to police ourselves on a daily basis, especially in our world that we live in now, which is just so fast paced and there's no delay for anything and it's like just instantaneous. And I think it's very important professionally and personally to just stop and take a second and look around. And as I've really been saying it a lot in the last few months, of just be present. That life is a beautiful thing. Be appreciative for what we have around us. Find ways that we can make our worlds around us better. But being present in a fast-paced environment, I think, is something that's becoming a lost art in this just
Yeah.
instantaneous world we live in. And I think it's something that we have to continuously remind ourselves to really focus on it because our minds can run wild if we're not policing our own selves.
Exactly. So before we go further on the topic, let's define what is imposter syndrome is and what are the real issues surrounding the syndrome.
Yeah, it can be defined in many different ways, but with that being said, what I would kind of say an imposter syndrome is, you're finding yourself consistently, experiencing self-doubt, kind of that fear of the unknown, and even in sometimes in areas that would be considered your strength, you can kind of feel like you're fake or phony and not necessarily measuring up to where you need to be, and even maybe even having a fear that you could be found out or be outed that you're not good enough or you don't have a certain level of qualifications that measure up to the team, and that kind of leads down to those symptoms of like anxiety and can be negative self-talk and depression. And I would kind of define it as that. And like I said, and you can become too much of a perfectionist. There's many different symptoms that can happen. And I think all of that is, our own personalities. We probably all have these type of symptoms, but I would say an imposter syndrome is where we're not able to really kind of get past it. We just get stuck in this and just continuously get in a downward spiral and just never get out of it and feel like we're good enough. I think at least that's how I would say it, Dharam. Would you like to add anything more than that?
Yeah, look, this is a common issue, and we have to take it's a going everybody going through because of some life changing events, and or you're going for lesser certification like PgMP, PfMP, or you lost your job and you cannot find a job for many months nowadays. Some people have to go through that, and you start doubting yourself. I mean, you may have done a great job. You're the best in the, you achieved so many things. And suddenly rise, do I really have all the skills? Or maybe just I faked it. Or as you correctly said, when you start doubting yourself. And the problem is more you doubt, you more downward spiral happening. You start doubting, oh my God, I don't know. I don't, maybe should I be doing, I mean, as a program, maybe I should be going as a project manager. Maybe I should go as a test manager. Maybe I should go and drive Uber. These kind of things start thinking happening. And that's where very negative thoughts can take you down and have lots of negative impacts. And the most important, as you correctly said, you have to discipline yourself, bring yourself, reminding yourself those days when you're doing great things, everybody appreciating you and you're kicking everybody's. And that's the positiveness you can bring back. That's where it will help you, whether you're looking for a job, whether you're going for, starting a new job, and or maybe going for any certificates. You need to keep telling you have not just faking, you believing that you have done it and you can do it again.
Yeah, in short, you'll actually probably hear a lot of my team members will hear me say, I call it stinking thinking because it's not good, it's not positive, it stinks, it's bad thinking. So I call it, in short, stinking thinking because you're thinking in a negative way. It's going to bring yourself down. It's going to bring everyone around you down. And it's important to again to be present, be mindful of we've talked about your emotional intelligence and all of this goes into it. And this is just a really interesting side of things. And again, we've all I actually was even telling a story not long ago in regards to this is when you're not sure that you measure up, and we can do it in many different ways in our personal lives, but same thing with when you get a new job. It's that fear of the unknown. Like, do I have what it takes? What are the this team that I'm about to lead? Are they going to accept me? Are they going to think that I'm not, am I going to a hostile environment? All these different things that our mind runs wild. And that's okay. That's perfectly natural. Every human being is going to have those thoughts. But you also have to remember, like, okay, hey, I was selected for this job. That means that they believe in me. And if you're being, it's very hard nowadays to try and fake your way into a leadership position. Are there some instances? Sure. But when you truly get up into the higher levels of directing large projects, you're going to be pretty well vetted by then. And so you have to remember, yeah, are there going to be things that you have to learn and adapt to? Of course. And there's going to be a learning curve no matter what. But you also have to believe in yourself, play to the strengths that you do have, but also be humble. Like, don't claim that you know everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Sit back, understand, ask questions, be humble. And I think that will go a long way instead of, having that overconfidence of, I know everything and you're not, again, just come in and being honest, being humble. You don't have to outwardly project your confidence, but again, all those thoughts I think in our worlds are perfectly natural. Every human being, whether they admit it or not, has had those thoughts.
Yeah, good. Thank you. So, what are the common emotional and psychological experiences of imposter syndrome that you or your peers have encountered in the project management? And the follow-up question is, how do these experiences impact professional confidence and the performance?
Yeah, I think this particular one, I'll first off the common emotional and psychological experiences of that. Certainly you're going to have the perfectionist where whatever you do is not good enough, and unless it's absolutely perfect, which quite frankly, that's not even being realistic with yourself anyway. And then there's other ones like kind of the expert, even though they don't know everything there possibly is to know. Even though they, hey, we're looking to them as a technical subject matter expert, just because they might not know anything and everything about a particular subject, they don't believe in themselves. And then you kind of have the the natural type genius that you know they feel like a fraud simply because they don't believe that or they may think that you're a fraud because that you're naturally intelligent and competent, and if you don't get something right the first time around or takes you longer to master a skill, you feel like the imposter. Of course, you got some of the solo type folks where they have to do it all, and they don't want to ask for help and things like that. And it's because if they were to ask for help, then they think that the it looks poorly on them, and then type of another imposter syndrome, believing that you must be the hardest worker or reach the highest level of achievements possible, and if you don't, you're a fraud. At the end of the day, when you kind of summarize all these things up, it's just having unrealistic expectations if you really look at it. And again, we are human beings. No one is perfect. But at the end of the day, is like we said, that powerful mind in between our ears, it creates a perception, and quite frankly, as you see it with social media, it like just forms this perfectionism, and that's the way everything is supposed to look like. But in real life, that's just not the way it is. And so that's the way I look at it, really. When you start looking at it, it's just having unrealistic expectations of yourself at the end of the day. And to the second part, how do these experiences impact professional confidence and performance? It affects it incredibly negatively. And not only that, is as we always say, one bad apple spoils the bunch. And when you have someone like that in your team that's just not having realistic expectations, it's of course at the end of the day, none of us are perfect. We're going to have good days, bad days, average days. And that's why the team environment is so important. Hey, I've had bad days, and I tell you what, I've had folks that work for me that literally are like, "Hey, I know you've had a tough day. Let's go and take a walk." Make sure you're checking on each other. I mean, it's not just about one person. It is about the team, and hey, for us to be able to stick together, I remember we went through a big project years ago, and quite frankly, every single one of us were taken to the brink, quite frankly, and we were all just quite frankly, there were days that I felt like I was just dangling by a thread, really, honestly. And we all felt that way. And but there was one day that I literally looked at our subject matter expert that, quite frankly, we were all questioning whether we were good enough to do it.
Uh-huh.
And I remember telling him, I said, look, I don't know when that day is going to happen, but there's going to be a day that we're going to be sitting in our backyards, maybe with an adult beverage in our hand, probably a cigar, and we're going to be talking about these days that we're having right now and laughing about them. And, talking about how we had to overcome anything and everything, but we did it. And sure enough, a couple years later, I remembered actually the guy that I said it to. He goes, "Hey, Justin, remember that time?" He goes, "Here we are." I said, "Yep, it was worth every second of it too, wasn't it?" Because now that we had to go through that intense learning curve, and quite frankly, we pulled off something that they said that wasn't capable of being done, and we did it. And we used that as an opportunity to really redefine, capabilities, and we turned a quite frankly, lesser folks would have quit and went home, but we took it and we grabbed the bull by the horns, and we became an extremely tight team from that experience. And to this day, we've expanded on it. And to this day, 10 years later now, we're still going strong. And the elements of those teams, as we've all been promoted and now have younger folks below us are working for us now. And hey, it's all about making sure we take care of each other. And so you can take those situations and to be able to grow the team and grow our operations all around the world. That would be probably my long-winded answer to that, because if you're not thinking in a positive manner, it's going to be really hard to accomplish anything as a team.
Yeah. I mean, you correctly said, we as a team has to work together, first of all. Whenever you start any new thing, something which was not done in past, that's where the project and programs are. You're doing something new. And especially new technology and all those you have never done. And expectations are huge. Organization looking towards you, everybody looking at you. You're going to do the great, and you yourself, but in a self-doubt, and even the criticism, from your boss, from outside your team, everybody start looking at you, and you start doubting yourself. More you think, more the problem is. Whether your boss is criticizing you for everything, even though you're doing a good job, and more your board happen. I don't know why they do sometimes. Is it for your betterment or for their fear? They have themselves fear, the pressure from up, from outside, from the new customer and all kind of things. They also pass that pressure to you, to the team as well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I use that particular story because to this day, I mean, we were in a place that was not necessarily the best. It was, in another country. It was an extremely hard work environment, and just even be able to get on the facility
Yeah,
was a miracle in and of itself. And trying to meet schedules that, were very difficult. But again, hey, we win and lose as a team. No one's and losing is not an option. Hey, we adopted that, so what, now what mentality. Like, hey, there's only one way, and that's forward. Going back, going side to side. No, we have to keep moving forward. Let's find a way. And that really unlocked a lot of different things. Hey, we're getting creative, finding ways to do things, building the relationships we had to be able to overcome some risks. But again, if you get caught in, hey, we're just felt like every day I was just getting beat up, like, oh, what's this? What's that? But we had such a great team. And what I would say is because of that experience, you had such an amazing rapport, and we all came together so much. You have a team that is unbreakable, and then you build that confidence up to where, hey, quite frankly, we all felt like we were imposters when we were doing that project, but we stayed positive with each other. And then once we accomplished it, hey, like I remember saying, I feel confident enough you could throw me anywhere in the world. I'll find a way to get it done. I mean, because that was how hard it was. And to have that experience, that's when you learn the most. And you have to remember that. And so, again, that's taking a situation that, quite frankly, yeah, I don't know that the best of the best could have, they probably would have said, you guys are crazy. I don't know how you did it. But it was an opportunity to, quite frankly, put us on the map that nobody wanted to even do it. And we found a way. And so, hey, when you have those certain situations, that's an opportunity. It's not going to be easy, but it's an opportunity to, quite frankly, you know, build something that nobody saw was possible.
Yeah, yeah. Just to reflect on my journey, coming out from public sector of like India, and I got selected by this. At the time they were doing great HCL Technologies. In the first time in the private company, and within 10 days, I was going to sit for an interview with the Australian company, which just the very big company at the time, and we are going to provide them services, IT services. And with me, there were so many, I think 7, 8 people. They have been working for HCL for a long time. They're expert in their area, and everybody's great. But out of those 7, 8 people, I was the only one selected. And I said, hang on, there must be something wrong. But okay, fast forward, come to Australia. We are the first 2 people coming for this new account. English was, I mean, I can talk English, but that English was very fast for me. All this going on with me. Am I the right person to be here? Why I'm here? I don't think I know this technology. I don't think I know this language that good enough. So those things start coming, and more I'm thinking, and I want to prove myself. I'm working hard, late nights. All those things are happening, and luckily, you pass the time, and we look back. Wow, that experience going through that, of course, something new. When I look back, that was something best thing happened to me. It it reflected me. Okay, I'm new, but I'm learning and surviving. I think that sometimes we say throw the baby in the water, and if they survive, they will be the best swimmer.
I want to correct you on one thing, Dharam. You said the word you got lucky. No, you didn't get lucky. You found a way, you kept a positive attitude. Like you said, to go to another country, first and foremost, that is an intimidating aspect of life anyway. Because you're not just going there for a job. You got to learn to adjust to a whole new way of life.
Obviously, yeah,
And where perfect example when you're in construction, if you're in the US, yeah, you can just, if you need something, you go right down to the Lowe's or the Home Depot or
yeah,
whatever. But in another country, you don't have that luxury, and you got to even figure out what kind of store do I even go to for that stuff, or if they have it. And then the US measurements versus Australia measurements and all these different things, that while it doesn't seem like that much, it is when you actually are putting that together. You didn't get lucky. You worked hard. And like you said, you persevered and you didn't let those negative thoughts dominate you. Hey, you were selected because somebody believed in you.
yeah,
And you always have to remember that. But in our minds nowadays, we forget that. It's like, okay, you are good enough. Are you being challenged? Absolutely. And you were hired for the job because they knew it was a challenge and they thought that you could rise to the challenge.
yeah.
And that's the opportunity, and you got to grab the bull by the horns.
Yeah, and I think I mean just to complete this discussion, like when people coming from some countries like the third world countries or some African countries, not to but they have been living in different scenario, and let's say that you come to Canada, you come to US or other countries, there is some fear inside you because one is maybe you have been told that you're not good enough, and suddenly you're in a new country and new people, all those, yeah, what we go every I think everybody goes through that. Am I good enough? Will I ever get a job? How will I survive these people? And they're so, when I my request to everyone going through this phase, yes, stay calm and look around, find the positivity around you, and you will find a way. And when you look back, okay, that happened, and that's the best thing happened to you in your life.
Well, I even say one of my most favorite things about traveling the world is going somewhere that I've never been and doing a little bit of research beforehand, and just the pure challenge of, okay, when I get off the plane, where's passport control? What am I going to be faced with? How do I get my communications up? Getting my phone working all those different things. You really, quite frankly, get my juices flowing. That challenge to me is what I really enjoy. I know a lot of people just can't stand the thought of that, which makes them not want to travel. But let me tell you something, when you do it once or twice and you kind of get an idea how it's going to go, those lead to the best stories when you go home and tell your family and friends about it.
Yeah.
Now, granted, it can be intimidating and all the different craziness in different parts of the world, but it's about the journey, and you have to just again stop and just be present, and just it can be overwhelming, and like you said, doubt yourself, but embrace the challenge, and you will be better off personally and professionally if you adopt that kind of mindset.
Exactly. Exactly. Good. Thank you. Okay, let's continue on that. What factors contribute to imposter syndrome in project manager role, particularly in a competitive industry or high-stake projects?
Yeah, I think more than anything, especially in project management, is you're especially in the larger scale critical infrastructure, roads, bridges, massive projects, and NEOM, the line, and all the giga projects happening in Saudi Arabia. I mean, you have the best of the best in the world wanting to work on those type of things. And
Yeah,
so when you're sitting in a meeting room with those type of people, first off, you need to stop and smell the roses and the fact that you made it in the room,
yeah,
because everybody in that room has some immense qualifications that there's a reason why you're there, because they need the best to be able to solve the most complex challenges of projects that have never been built in that scale. So I think, anyone that goes into those type of projects, yeah, you have your own qualifications, but you also realize that, okay, this is the size, this size of project has never been done in the world before. So I don't care how good you are. You could have the best degrees and every certification on the planet. You almost have to go into that project as what you know is not good enough. And you have to really, you're going to have to reinvent how some things are done to be able to meet schedules. And, you know, you're going to have doubts. There is no doubt about that. But in overall, in those type of project management roles, the first thing to me is, is this too big for me? Am I gonna, But conceptually, the concepts still haven't changed. You have to remember that, we can get caught up because it's so big, but you're just doing the same thing, just on a bigger scale. Yeah, you're going to have to adapt to that, but the concepts, so to speak, haven't changed. You have to stay true to your principles, your risks and everything else. And quite frankly, when I've been in some of those rooms, you start talking to some, project managers that have done far larger things than I have. I take that as an opportunity to ask questions. I always go into a meeting, being humble and recognizing that I'm likely not the smartest person in the room, and I want to find that person as soon as I get in there. That's really just my strategy. Is all right. I want to just pose some questions to really kind of not stir the pot, but quite frankly, get some folks talking, like in understanding who they are, what their backgrounds are, and I'm there to learn because I guarantee you, every time you go into a meeting like that, if you're listening, you're going to learn something and go, oh, I never thought of that perspective like that. These are the type of things that, again, if you just get caught up in, am I really good enough to be in here? Instead of, obviously I'm here in the room, which means I have some qualifications, but I'm here to learn. And guess what? That the person that you think is probably better than you, they probably are in some aspects.
Yeah.
But you also have to remember that they're having that same thought in this room, and they probably realize the same thing, like you have some strengths that they're weak in. And being able to take your egos, put them aside, come together as one and play to each other's strengths, that's where you're going to find true excellence. And I think, again, recognizing that, you're not the only one in that room that's feeling that way, I think will go a long way.
Yep.
And again, just be yourself.
Exactly. With this great example, thank you. Um, so let me give you one example, and I probably talked about this example many times. So this was with the HP. I'm going to set up the cloud data center for them. And this is, I'm talking 2010, when the cloud was a buzzword. I have never done it. I mean, I have never heard about this cloud data center, first of all. I've talked about, I've done a number of data center projects, but what is cloud? I have no idea. And this is a very high priority and very crazy timelines. And, like we're talking November to June, two data centers up and running, fully connected, fully populated, very high pressure environment. Then, all these things you're saying, you start doubting yourself, why I'm here, maybe I don't have skills, and why they selected me for this, maybe I said something, or all this thing going in your mind. But you need to realize that, as you correctly said, you are there because they have seen something in you, and you have to believe in that. And when you start believing, and then realizing that yes, there are other people, 10 to other people, 15 people, they are the best people, they are in the team, but you're also there because of reason, because you have some skills. That's why they're. So, in initial days, you have to have, of course, when you start a new project, you need to have a steep learning, very steep learning, many times. And thanks to Google and thanks to ChatGPT and all those things, now you can learn very fast as well. Go deeper and learn that, get yourself, best out in that. And now also talk to the other people. Yes, they are a network specialist, they are the data center specialist and all, but and initially they may not see you as a, they may not like you as a project manager because you have no idea. But you need to build rapport with them. And we talked about stakeholder engagement, relationship building, and sooner or later you start building the relationship, and found, then things will be different. Only thing is you have to open to learn and stakeholder engagement and stay positive.
Yeah, I mean, I go back to when my first meeting as I truly was, it was my first project. So I was a real project manager
Yeah,
back in the day. And I remember we quite frankly, we didn't even have Zoom and video and all that at that time. It was just, dialing into a conference line.
yeah, yeah.
What a novel concept, Dharam.
What a,
And I remember just like, I don't even know what to say. What do I say to this customer? I don't want to, I don't want to, make them have doubts in me and everything else. And then, we had gone on I think it was about a 7-year journey. And I remember as the project wrapped up, and we had our final program management review, and I had been with them from the start to the finish. And I remember yeah, again, you take yourself back. You weren't even sure what to say, and you were terrified to even speak, to then sitting in front of all of them and their bosses. And literally, I went on a journey. I took them through our whole 7-year journey and how that journey led us to have the tools to be able to accomplish what we did, the last part of it, to finish it in entirety. And I said all of that without any script or anything. I just sat down and was looking at them and just literally was storytelling for 45 minutes. And I just sat, after I was done and I was in the car on the way back and I was going, wow, what a journey, that I was terrified to even talk to them. And then by the end of it, I had lived it. I had known it so much, that I could just sit down and tell a story for 45 minutes uninterrupted. And then literally they're like, even the government said, the customer was like, wow, I don't want to follow that. That was amazing. Just because you over the years, you learn so much in the relationships and, what you go through as a team. I wanted to not only, it was a story about our team and how we were able to do it. And I wanted to, close the chapter and quite frankly, put a bow on it for our team because they had deserved it, and I was the one basically just representing them. That's the way I looked at it, and so I wanted to put the cherry on top, so to speak, and I know I did. But again, you look at that going, I went from being terrified to speak to,
yeah,
literally being able to tell a story like that, and not thinking anything of it. That's the journey and the confidence and the capabilities that you learn along the way.
exactly.
That's really what it is.
Exactly. And when you look back, you said, oh, now you're talking in front of them and all the senior managers uninterrupted. And when the day when you just started, terrified, and worried, um, I mean, it's not lucky. It's something you work, you learn, you build a relationship, and you have a knowledge. That's why you're there. And
That's right.
that's what we have to appreciate. Any journey we start, any journey, new journey, it's always going to be unknowns. Will I be successful? Will I be this? Whether I will find right help? You know, but when you look back, wow, I have traveled so far. I never thought I'm going to be running a company and going to be the feeling I start say the best trainer in the world in PgMP, PfMP, with the person who was just doing a coding and doing this. But when you look back, yes, you took a step, you believed in yourself, and you continue to follow your dream, passion.
Exactly. It's that year that I did all those PMI certs I didn't stop and think about it, but after I did them all, I look back and people come to me and like, how did you do that? I was like, I just did it. Like I believe me, there were times that I was doubting myself, and Dharam knows it well because we had sessions that but at the end of the day, you get it done, and then all of a sudden you look back and go, wow, I remember when I was terrified just to take the PMP test. And, now I look back and I'm going, all right, I did quite a few of them, more than the PMP. But, it was just, quite frankly, just getting over that first hurdle. And then it's like, all right, I got it, let's go. And I think that, quite frankly, you want to talk about imposter syndrome, I think that that's what prevents a lot of people from doing the PMP is it's got this aura about it and the fear of failing that test
Yeah.
instead of just getting after it, believing in yourself. I think the aura of the PMP is where a lot of people just run away from it because the aura of it and the self-doubt, which imposter syndrome.
Exactly. You know, very rightly said. Many people get stopped to take the first step. You know, worry and a lot of too much risk assessment, risk analysis. What if I fail? What if I this? You know, what other people will think about me? What, you know, I never failed in my life. What happened? You know, all these doubts coming in your mind. And you correctly said many people get stopped to take first step to do less certificate or learning new technology or doing or applying for new jobs, moving to a new country, or starting new company. You know, those things have, you know, but you need to take a step, believing that, and the next step, before you realize your certification is done. I know in 2022, remember very clearly, 5 certificates when you came to me, PMP, RMP, ACP, and then last in 70 days you did PgMP and PfMP. That was that's I tell your story to everyone. 70 days PgMP, PfMP, unreal, and you did it. Well, you are I believe you are the one of the most busiest person I've ever seen. Always in flight, running around in meetings and new technology and cybersecurity and many things going around, and still able to do 5 certificate in 1 year. That's unbelievable. So, but yeah, you did this.
It's just again, you just believe in yourself, you got to do it. That's what it is. And winning, as they say, it can be very contagious. And it's like, okay, just keep going. Like, don't stop. When you have that momentum, just keep going.
Yeah, yeah. Great. Let me take the next question. Go through the next question. How can project managers balance confidence in their abilities with fostering a growth mindset, transferring imposter syndrome into catalyst for continuous improvement?
Well, I'll give you a. It's probably kind of goes into number five as well, sharing my real life examples of
Yeah.
success stories, addressing where the imposter syndrome led to improved project outcomes. So, one of the biggest things that I have been managing over the years was electronic security systems,
Yeah.
and I was not a very technical person. Yes, could I manage schedules and have the right people and this, that, and the other? But I was not a technical person at all. And when the conversation got into technical stuff, quite frankly, it might as well have been in another language for me. And that used to just drive me crazy because, number one, I just felt like this shouldn't be, it seemed so hard to me, but and so it was one of those things that it was just it scared me, quite frankly. But at one point for myself, I literally was like, all right, you need to address your weaknesses, and we all have weaknesses, and this was one of them. It was a very glaring weakness, at least for me. It could have been I maybe didn't how do I want to say it? It wasn't as evident to certain folks, and I made sure that hey, I'm not gonna tell somebody something I don't know. I'm going to rely on my own team that's a subject matter expert in that. But I wanted to at least be able to talk intelligently instead of just, literally turning it over. And I used the COVID. I was stuck in a location for several months where we couldn't go anywhere except for we could go to the work site. And I pretty much became one of my guys' assistants, and he happened to be a master electrician by trade. And so I was like, hey, I'm here. I can't do anything. So teach me, and I learned in those 4 months, using that opportunity to, all right, I don't need to know the ins and outs, but I want to at least know how do these things, how do things get connected and, just to be able to talk more and understand the integration process. So that allows me to build an integrated master schedule that can be as realistic as possible without having to call them and ask them for what durations. I'm able to answer it intelligently, and I know how long it takes because I've helped do it now. And so I've taken that, which yeah, I absolutely was a huge weakness for myself. And I was finding an excuse not to address it, quite frankly, until I had the opportunity, like, all right, if you don't learn this now, you never will. So do it. And I loved it. And it was humbling to me, but I knew it was going to help me in the long run, which it absolutely has, to where now I'm able to look at documents before they go into our customers, and I ask questions to the engineers and to the different things that I wouldn't have been able to do before. I know what to look for, and that makes me not only a better project manager, but hey, I'm looking for things. I can quality control and reviews and making sure that we're doing things right. That just made me a better person, looking at a project. And so I would actually give that as a true real life example where I had a glaring weakness. And I'm not saying I turned it into a strength, but I at least turned it into a neutral that it wasn't going to be something that hurt me. It ended up being a net positive in the end.
Exactly. But there's a great example, turning something which was not your strength into strength, and then you have no idea about the technology you're going to work, but you learn with the, you ask the question, and you, I mean, sometimes you feel that, oh, this may be a silly question, and he's expert, or he knows everything, but you don't know. Just ask. It may seem like a silly question to you, but this may be the most important question, because if you don't ask, you will start building on top of it, which is a weak foundation. So ask the question and learn from that. That's very important. Keep learning, keep believing in yourself, and then that's the history.
Yeah, and it even led to last year. I hadn't been on a site in a while, and I went to a site to check on some things, and I asked a particular person, "Hey, pull this up for me. I want to see it." And he goes, "No, you can't do that. No, you can't do that." I said, "Hey, you can. Sure, you can." And he's like, "No, you can't." And I happen to still remember some of the, login credentials and things like that, and pulled it right up, and he goes, "I didn't know you could do that." I
Yeah.
was like, well, maybe I know a few things still. So again, not to embarrass him or anything, but I literally was like, I still got a little bit. I'm not just a dumb project manager that sits in his ivory tower. He was laughing. He's like, I got you. So, again, it just helps. At the end of the day, it helps the team. Like, hey, you never know. You might know something that, it's not that they didn't know, they just didn't happen to know the shortcut in which I was able to use that a previous subject matter expert taught me back in the day. So again, it's just pay it forward, quite frankly.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, but one thing I like to talk about here as this project manager or program manager, SWOT analysis. We know everybody knows SWOT analysis, identifying your strength, identifying weakness, opportunity, threat. I mean, we normally talk about, we know that we have some strength. We rarely look into the weakness areas. If you can recognize the weak areas, weaknesses, and you can convert or turn those weaknesses into positive, learn. If you find that there's a weak area, and you don't know the electronics or that particular device, you ask question, learn about it. That weakness can become your strength. So
Yep.
I suggest everyone to do a SWOT analysis on themselves, identify your strength, of course, list them down and identify. And this should be honestly identifying your weaknesses.
Be humble.
Be humble. Yes,
Exactly.
exactly. And opportunities and threats as well. We need to know, identify the threat. Then look at these two columns where weakness and threats. How can you convert this weakness into the positive or make them strength? So if you can do that, sooner or later, when you look back, yeah, okay. I mean, when we look back, Neon City or Line or Oxygen or whatever, somebody's dream or future state, you say, okay, it's all done because of working towards the direction, having right vision, and keep looking towards that and walking towards that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think we spend far, and don't take this, for those watching, don't take it in the negative, but we spend far more time focusing on our strengths than just addressing our weaknesses. And if we were to address our weaknesses, because it's the uncomfortable conversation that we don't want to have, so we try and avoid it. But if we actually just take a step, and you don't have to embarrass yourself or anything, but again, this is where you having a good mentor and seeking out their advice in some ways, shapes, or forms to understand things. It's okay. Everyone has their weaknesses. And I think if we were to actually focus on our weaknesses, like you said, turn them into maybe not even a strength, but get yourself, make it not a weakness to where you can talk intelligently, where it sets a foundation of being able to learn to eventually turn it into a strength. Again, that just makes you better overall, and not just in your personal lives, but in your professional lives as well. Because at the end of the day, we're all about being the best version of ourselves we can possibly be.
Yeah. And I like to warn people, like, don't see the weaknesses from other people's eyes.
Yes.
They may, say you are not good enough, you don't know those, you cannot talk, you are not a good project manager. I mean, they are imposing their own weakness on you. So you need to analyze your own weakness, and the way what you feel can be, you should know, and what you can do about it. If you can do
You're
that,
exactly right. We know what our weaknesses are. We
exactly.
just have to write them down and admit to them.
Very rarely look into that. But yes, we should be looking back. Okay, what can I do with them? Right. Okay, let's move to the next question. How can a project manager cultivate a refuse to lose mentality to overcome challenges, inspire their teams, and achieve their goals, especially in the face of imposter syndrome or career obstacles?
This is where I really rely on, as we all know and establish, my college athletics background. And this is one of my strengths of the refuse to lose, the so what now what mentality. We're always going to be faced with a unforeseen circumstance in project management. All right, someone comes to you with an issue. All right, now what? What do we need to do to overcome it? Instead of going, oh gosh, it blows up the schedule, all this, blah, blah, blah. There are ways to get around it. Having that as I'm never out of the fight, and you can see a lot in this in athletics, whether it be in professional athletics or sports, or obviously within the U.S. some of the special forces like those Navy SEAL type. When you actually read about what those folks have, the mental strength
Mental strength.
and the focus, which is so laser focused on, hey, you can't break me. That's why it's so hard, because to pass those type of tests, because it's not yes, it's physically absolutely demanding, but it's even more mentally demanding. And where that's where I really like the athletics analogy, because hey, it's us against the world, and we have to take care of each other. And so I have adopted that, especially when if you've ever played college athletics, I played American football. And so you're going into stadiums with 50 plus thousand people that, quite frankly, don't want you to succeed on the road when you're playing in another person's stadium. And there's always a camaraderie that you have with the team, because all you have is each other. And, maybe your parents are they're in the upper deck that you need some binoculars to see them because they're so far away. And there's such the world is against you feeling that you have to go out there and you have to perform. And I tell you what, it's so rewarding when you go in there and come out with a win. And so have done the same thing in project management, and the teams that I lead is, of course, we have the so what now what mentality. We're going to find a way to win, and it may not be pretty sometimes. We might have our rough days, but we're going to find a way to overcome that and still deliver on time. And again, that comes down to everyone putting in their part and playing to their strengths, and we achieve the goals as one. And obstacles are always in our path. I've taught our teams to expect obstacles. We have to be ready. And when you have a team that is laser focused on the mission,
Yeah.
it's amazing the type of things that we come up with as a team where then you start getting into performing at such a high level that you have folks that are obsessed with, again, as they say in the imposter syndrome, of perfection. But as long as you harness it in the right way
Yeah.
and be able to, you as a project manager, hey, enough. You've done very well. We're moving you on to the next one. That's the type of thing. Again, we watch each other, but again, when you create that environment of, hey, we're all about the team. We're here to take care of each other. Especially when you're in another country, hey, you're everybody's families back in the U.S. or whatever. We have to take care of each other to make sure we get home, and you got to keep it light. You keep it, hey, we work hard, but we're gonna have fun doing it. And no, for me, everybody always laughs, but when I go on site, I'm usually the trash guy. I pick up the trash. Do I have to? No. But that's just something, number one, that's the least I can do for my people that are working their tails off. And hey, I want to do the little things that, quite frankly, I don't want them focused on. Like, yeah, we want a clean work site, and no one's above picking up trash. So, hey, that's just something that, again, staying humble, I think is the biggest, and everybody appreciates that. Like, hey, he doesn't have to pick up trash, but he is. And, hey, no one, I'll do whatever it takes for us to win. And if I have to get on a plane to fly somewhere to get a part and fly back, that's what I got to do, to keep things going. And that's really the all hands on deck mentality. And it's been successful for us in creating that so what now what mentality.
Yeah. And I like your sports analogy, and especially when you are playing against a good, better team and in front of their own home ground, you also
Yeah.
can take yourself down, and we are not good enough. We are, all these things come in your mind.
I mean, we've been even eating at restaurants where in another town where, of course we're wearing our,
Yes.
school uniform, that we have traveling, and you got people booing you in the restaurants. I mean, again, you look back at those times, you're like, at the time you're kind of, when you're young, you're like, that's not very nice. But you look back at it now, you just laugh. You're like, what a time, what a time to be alive. And you use those experiences. You don't realize it. Maybe I think as you get older, you self-reflect more and you're like, some folks will be like, well, where did you come up with that? And, I think back at those times and it's like, wow, how simple it was back then, but how lasting of a image and a footprint it left on me and how I approach life in so many ways. I always say what you learn about the game of life by playing college athletics can never be duplicated in a classroom.
I mean, look, there is always some people around you. They don't want to see you growing, and they are booing you, and they're bringing you down. Maybe it's manager, politics going in the organization, or anywhere your friend circle. They see you're growing better, doing better than them. They start trying to bring you down. But you know, even all those challenges, negativity around you, you need to take yourself out.
As they say, embrace the haters. If you have haters, that means you're doing something right. That's the
Exactly.
reality.
That's right. Yeah, good. All right, fantastic. Okay. So, Justin, great. Thank you for this conversation. I'm really enjoying this. So, I have my another question for you. What is your perspective on the fake it till you make it approach in project management?
Well, I think we all have probably done a little bit of that.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. I mean, you have to do a little bit, hey, the way I would say is, when you don't know something, just say, hey, I'm not really sure. Let me get back to you on that. Don't say things that you're not sure of.
Yeah.
It's okay to say, I don't know, but I'm going to get with somebody and get you an answer here in whatever time frame. I think that that's the way to play it. Again, that doesn't, you're not necessarily faking it, but there's a process, especially when you're getting into a brand new project. I'm not really sure. I mean, you could be the most experienced project manager on the planet, and you're still not going to know the answer. And I think it's important, especially when we talk about, our relationship management, stakeholder engagement, all those things, especially in first impressions on maybe it's the kickoff meeting of a new project, and they may throw a question at you that may be a bit difficult. And could you maybe fake it? You could, but it's not a risk that you need to take, number one.
Mm.
And number two is rely on your teammates. It's okay to have strengths and weaknesses, and they may pose a question that is a weakness for you, and that's okay. But hey, let me get with my team, and I can get back to you here quickly and get you a specific answer. That's okay to say, and I think a lot of folks get a bit scared to do that, and I think that just comes with a little bit of experience. I know when you're first as a project manager, you're just so energetic, and you want to, hey, I'm on top of it. It's okay. I'm on. You don't need to do that. It's the project management is a vast, vast array of many different things that you have to recognize that first and foremost. You're not going to know everything. And it's okay that maybe your team doesn't know, and you got to go back and do some research. I would rather get the specifics correct than to guess. And at the end of the day, while the customer may want the answer right away, they would rather have the correct answer, no
Yep.
matter how long it takes, than to give them an answer in a timely manner that is not the correct one. And so it's okay. You need to be comfortable saying, hey, let me get with my team, and we'll get back to you right away on that. That's okay. And I think that that's something that, it's easy for us to say now, but I know, Dharam, you as a young project manager, and certainly me, I didn't want to say that. I want to get them that answer right now. And I think that's probably, as a young project manager, when you're just trying to get your feet wet, that, what I just said a little bit ago will be the best advice I could possibly give you. Is, that's how you're going to be able to fake it until you understand it, is relying on your team and just saying, I'm not sure, but let me take an action and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. That's it. As easy as that sounds, it isn't in the grand scheme of things. But again, I think that those are that humbleness and recognizing that it's okay to get back to them with a proper answer in the long run will help you with your stakeholder engagement. You'll build a better relationship. You build that trust with the customer to then be able to have the much harder conversations later when you've established that trust and you have a little bit of experience under your belt in the project and understand the flows of things. I think that that's very important in the first part.
Very well said. I mean, I was thinking, fake it till make it, you make it. I was thinking, maybe can we see the positive, being optimistic as well? If I'm just thinking here, like, is it like being optimistic because I don't know everything, but I'm optimistic too that I will make it. So you tell yourself, yes, I'm confident, I'm going to do it, I'm going to make it happen, and you believe in yourself, and if you see that way, yes. I mean, I'm saying from one angle, but yes, faking is when you don't have the skill, you're saying that I have the skill, But what I'm seeing from different angle.
Yeah, no, well, even faking it, you could say like, okay, I've happened to manage a project that was very small in scale, and all of a sudden, and let's just say we can define a project many different ways, as we know.
Yeah,
And quite frankly, maybe it wasn't a project. It was maybe just a little, a weekend
yeah,
little thing to do. And then all of a sudden on Monday, you're in charge of $100 million program. I don't know.
yeah,
Uh, you know that. again, but the
I'd say,
principle still applies.
yeah,
I'm not sure, but let me get back to you. But, and again, using that time to number one is when you're with your team, rely on your team, like, and be humble with them as well. Like, look, guys, I'm not sure, but use that as a learning, okay, and again, you recognize that it's a weakness. All right, I may be in over my head, but maybe I got this program under me because they believe in me. All right, what are my strengths? Have that self-reflection, and again, the self-reflection, realizing what your strengths are, but more importantly, address your weaknesses, write them down, and figure out a plan on how you're going to make those weaknesses into an eventual strength. If you're in that faking it mode, so to speak, quite frankly, just feeling like, wow, I may be in over my head and having that self-doubt again, it's okay. Number one, that's a natural thing, but you will make it if you actually put a plan together in your own mind, address your own weaknesses to where, and recognize again, well, okay, I'm in this position. Am I going to just throw it away? Or am I going to use this as an opportunity to build myself into something that, okay, where I feel comfortable in my own skin to then be able to take on more? Again, it's all in the mindset. There's been many times where, oh, gosh, is this project too big for me? Um, and in some cases, it likely might have been. But I believed in myself, believed in my strengths, addressed my weaknesses to that, so that, hey, I can be better. And eventually, as you start, gaining that experience in whatever weakness you have, it becomes much more comfortable to speak about it and to take action on it. Again, it's all part of the learning curve at the end of the day.
exactly. I mean, very well said. I mean, so much to, when you reflect back, this is what happened, this is what I did, and, this small, from the small project become suddenly $100 million program, but multi-dimensional, this and that, so much uncertainties. When you look back, wow, this was so not difficult actually. I did it.
That's exactly what ends up happening. A lot of people don't believe you, but yeah, you're like, how did you do that? And you're going, well, it really was not fun at the time, but I look back at it now and go, it wasn't so bad. I made it a lot worse than it needed to be. Again, it's that mindset, especially when you're just in that grind mode and it just can, you're so into the weeds and you're grinding, but then you stop and look back and you go, okay, that probably wasn't the most joy I had, but man, did I learn a lot. And all of a sudden, that my weaknesses have turned into strengths. Well, guess what? That made you better.
Yeah.
And you may have quote unquote faked it at first, but you made it in the end. And now you're ready to take on something bigger. Again, we've all had we've all felt that way in some way, shape, or form. Imagine the first person that was trying to go to the moon. That'd be a heck of a
Wow.
that'd be a heck of an imposter. Am I good enough to get up there, and am I good enough to get back? Well, we're about to find out. It's
Yeah.
all in perspective.
Yeah. And other important thing is, you know, in this whole process, you need to learn as well. Having right people around you, positive mindset, being, meditation and believing in yourself and keep going further and further.
Exactly. And even how I'm talking with you and getting laughs, that's my way of that's how I approach things. Like, hey, life's too short. You might as well have some fun with it. Like, I enjoy, especially when I'm really stressed about something. And of course, we're all stressed about work. Whatever type of comedy you may like, and comedians usually have the best of perspectives. Like, wow, I didn't even think of that. And because comedians have a way of looking at things through a lens that most of us would not think of. Obviously, that's why they've become very famous comedians. But when you actually think about the art of comedy, how they've been able to take a perspective that, quite frankly, no one else thinks of, and hit punchline after punchline. I study the art of it, and it's like, wow, it's all in perspective. Everything, we have choices in life. We can either choose to take a negative, angle to it, or we can find a way to be positive and even maybe have some laughs about it. And it's
Exactly.
okay to laugh about at yourself as well. I think that's a good way to approach things in a lot of personally and professionally.
Great, thank you. My next question is, this is based on research from MIT, suggests that individual experiencing imposter thoughts in their workplace often excel as strong team players and are recognized for their contribution. How could imposter syndrome enhance collaboration and teamwork in project management?
Yeah, I'm not surprised by MIT's research suggesting that the imposter thoughts in the workplace, they excel as strong team players and have tremendous contributions because a lot of them are so they have that perfectionist type of mentality that it's like they're obsessed with being better, and that's okay. That's a great attribute to have. And when you have someone on your team that is in that mode, be that servant leader. Give them everything that they need to
Yeah,
be successful and be the lead blocker and get every speed bump, get everything out of the way so they can absolutely sprint to the finish line. That's what I recognize. That servant leadership I believe in. And, hey, I've had a few of those type of folks that are, obsessed with getting after it. I literally
yeah,
will get right up in them. Like, you tell me exactly what you need. You tell me where I need to go and clear the path, and you got it. And I even say, and I'm fitting you for a saddle because I'm riding you home, baby. Like this is you're the MVP. You're the franchise player. I mean, and so just talking to them like that, they respond in ways that are like, hey, we're here for you. Don't be afraid to let us know what you need. Hey, we're gonna play to our strengths, but we're here to make you successful. And when you say that type of stuff, it almost like becomes even more like, yes, like let's do it. And that allows others to see that type of go for it attitude. And gives, hey, as a project manager, you tell me what your roadblocks are, and I'm moving them out of the way so you can just be on absolute a sprint to the finish line. That is where you need to understand as a project manager what type of people you have to where you can, fit them for the saddle to ride them home. And when a lot of folks will probably like, oh, what kind of language is that? Well, hey, you're the MVP, you're the franchise player. We're riding you, and so having that kind of, you know, outward attitude and being upfront and honest, hey, when you got someone like that, hey, recognize that I'm not going to burn you out. We're going to be here for you. We're not just getting out of the way to let you do the whole thing. So then as a project manager, as you're monitoring them to make sure they don't get burned out, you make sure that they have what they need, get them the proper rest. You become quite frankly, you become a life coach at that point, but get the heck out of the way. I mean, that's the beautiful thing. And that those type of thing, it enhances collaboration. Hey, when you have a franchise player like that, you tell the others like, hey, this is someone that very rarely do you have an opportunity to learn from someone like this. You need to take advantage of it. And then you also tell that franchise player, hey, I don't want to hinder you, but we also don't want to have a single point of failure. I want you to explain to the team how and why you're doing things so that they can assist you and anticipate what you're going to need next. So then all of a sudden you have huge collaboration across the team. And then you as a project manager getting rid of the obstacles, being that servant leader, monitoring your team, making sure that they're in good spirits and getting the proper rest. And then you're playing with excellence. I mean, that's the wonderful thing.
yeah. You're lucky to have that kind of excellence in your team. And if you have, make the best out of that.
That's right.
Okay. What is the role of mentorship, peer support, leadership in creating an environment where project manager feels empowered and capable?
I think it's everything, especially, as you move up in the ranks, I've kind of always looked at it, especially in the last few years, is all right, Justin, if you want to move up, who's going to take your place?
Yeah.
Are you you gotta identify those type of people who can handle, the things that you're doing now so that you can move to the next opportunities. And so, you're going to be able to identify them pretty quickly. If you've had the experience in managing these teams, some of the things that they're going to look for, and maybe there's a particular customer or depending on which country you're in, someone that can speak the local language and be able to cross culture, or be able to adapt to both of that. There's many different traits, whatever it may be, but empowering people is the most important. And that allows folks to make decisions. And quite frankly, you learn from the decisions that probably weren't the right ones.
Mm.
It's okay to make mistakes. And I think in the world now, because we're moving so fast, that people don't get the opportunity to really learn, quote unquote, the hard way in a lot of ways. And I think it's okay for folks to, as you say, throw them in the deep end and see if they can swim a little bit. And of course, be the life preserver to pull them out, or
Yeah.
don't let them drown, of course. But it's okay to let them jet out a little bit and see what they can do. You don't want to be too controlling or micromanaging, because then they're afraid to make a decision when, hey, they could be on their own, and it needs to be their decision because you don't have the situational awareness on the ground to be able to make the right one. Now, you can ask them the question. One of the big things that I do is, if they're struggling with a particular decision, I ask them particular questions which I don't answer it for them. I end up kind of like, basically guiding them for them to make the decision on their own. They're like, well, based on what you've said and how you've made me think, yeah, I think I got the answer now. Like, that's kind of what you want to don't do the work for them, but ask pointed questions that can help them down the path that likely is the right one. And it's okay to let them make a wrong decision once in a while. It really is. I've learned the most from decisions that I've made that probably weren't the right ones,
Yeah.
but I found a way to, make it right.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something, I will never make that wrong decision again, because you've had to learn from it and you realize, like, wow, that was a perspective I was totally wrong with, and I need to look at this in a different way next time. And as I'm mentoring other folks, maybe they were down that same path that I was, and then I give them a different perspective. Well, have you thought of this? And they're like, whoa, no, I haven't. Gosh, I think you're right on that. I need to really look at that. Those are the type of things that don't give them the answer, but yeah, give them little nuggets along the way, I think is helpful. And give them, my mentors, for the most part, they've never given me the answers, but they've given me perspectives that I hadn't thought of, which made me, hey, they didn't necessarily know the right answer, but they gave me another perspective that educated me enough to make a decision that I felt was the right one.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important, especially in mentorship, as you're creating future leaders. That, I think, is the most important in anything, and especially, even as a mentor, getting into the specifics, like, hey, what do you, as a mentor, what do you feel are your greatest weaknesses? Asking them things like, one-on-one, this is a personal thing. It's not going to get outside of the conversation between the two of us. Those, I think, are great questions from a mentor that really wants to see the best for you.
Mm.
And I think that in the end will help you be a great leader in the future.
I mean, mentorship, a coach, where even with you probably see the fastest runner in the world, they have not one or maybe multiple coaches or mentors around them. The people who never run the race, the people who can not even walk properly, they are the mentor of this guy who is the fastest runner in the world. How can that be possible? Because you know how to run, but they know how to find little nuggets in you and strengthen you further.
That's
So
right.
having a right mentor is very, very important. Less of course we find the mentor in the office and some maybe outside. Finding a person who really believe in you and also push you at time, motivate you, push you, excite you, whatever it is, because they see potential in you. Because by doing this, you will be there. So that's very important role as a work mentorship or peer support and all those. As me as a mentor I did mentorship to you as a project PgMP, PfMP, and many other people going through this. Every person is different for me and unique with their own strengths. You come with a different kind of strength. Other person come with different strength. I'm working with a guy. He's working on $1.3 billion big deal. Like he has to be PGMP before they can award or the chance of winning. So I have to work and I have to understand as a mentor the weakness of strength or weaknesses. Of course, you have strength. I have to keep pushing your strength and weaknesses. How can I improve your weaknesses so you can exceed your own expectation? How can you excel in your area? So that's what the role of a mentor, I believe, in a whether as a coach mentor like I'm doing, or work mentor, or even a mentor for your kids or your family. So
Absolutely. Yeah. It's so important.
soon you're going to be mentor at home. Good luck.
Looking forward to it.
Yes, yes, yes. Look, Justin, it was so, you know, interesting and, I'm feeling empowered working with you, talking to you, and you not see the time. We are going beyond time, but, when we're talking, I can feel goosebumps everywhere for me. And, because reminding those talks, these talks are, authentic, whatever we have gone through in our life and bringing them back. And hopefully some people will learn, get some gold nuggets out of this, and they can benefit out of this. So that's the aim of these discussions. So thank you very much. I know you're very, very busy, but you're still finding time and doing and putting everything towards the discussion. Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure, my friend, and I look forward to our next discussion. It'll likely be the first time as a father, so
Good luck.
super excited.
Can't believe it's coming, it's happening. So good luck, and next time you'll have two people, Justin and Junior Justin.
Can't wait. Can't wait.
Yeah, good luck. See you soon. Take care.
Thank you all.